Hello guys, welcome back to TechDose, and in this video we will look at multi-source flood fill problem, which is from Leetcode number 3905, and it is based on the multi-source BFS algorithm. You can go ahead and solve flood fill problem and the rotting oranges problem from Leetcode number 793 and 994, which are very similar, and I have already made detailed explanation on both these problems, so you can find the solution from the description below. Now let's go ahead and look at the problem. In this problem, you are given two integers n and m representing the rows and columns of a grid. You are also given a 2D integer array sources, where sources at I says about the row and column and the color that is marked at that particular cell, row and column of the given matrix grid. So it indicates that Ri, Ci is initially colored with color at I. All the other cells are initially uncolored and represented as 0. At each time step, every currently colored cell spreads its color to all the adjacent uncolored cells in the four directions, which is up, down, left and right. All spreads happen simultaneously. If multiple colors reach the same uncolored cell at the same time step, the cell takes the color with the maximum value. The process continues until no more cells can be colored, and we need to return the 2D integer array representing the final state of the grid, where each cell contains its final color. Right. Now let's look at an example for better understanding. In this case, we are given n equals to 3, that means total rows are 3 and total columns are 3. And we are given two sources. The first source is present at 0, 0. So if you assume this as row 0, 1, 2 and column 0, 1, 2, then the color 1 is present at 0, 0. So you see that in the initial state at time t equals to 0, 1 is marked at row number 0, column number 0. And similarly, you will find color 2 at 2, 2. At row 2, column 2, we have color 2. Now, if we perform the operation, that means if we color all the adjacent cells in all the four directions for both of them, then you find that for this one, there is no cell up and there is no cell to the left side, so we cannot color them. Whereas on the right and down, we have 0, so it will be colored as 1. Similarly, for 2, on the right and down we do not have any cell, but up and left we do have cells and they are uncolored, so we will color them to 2. Right. Up to this time everything is fine. After this, if you go ahead for the next step, then for this one, everyone is colored on all the sides or they are out of bound. For this, you cannot color up because you do not have any cell. You cannot color to the left because it is already colored. On the right side, yes, we can color it, so we can color it to 1. And down you can color it, yes, you can color it to 1. But if you check it out, then this 2 can also color this up cell, because in this current step itself this 0 is becoming as 1. So there are two options to color this, whether 1 can color or 2 can color, but according to the problem, you know that only the larger value will be able to color it, so this should hold a value 2 instead of holding a value 1. So if there is a conflict, like if there is a cell which can be colored by, let's say, 1 or 2, if 2 is larger than 1, then 2 will be able to color it, 1 will not be able to color it. So this has to be kept in mind. Now if you want to follow this order, then what we have to do? If you want to follow this order, then if I allow the larger value to color the uncolored cell first, the adjacent uncolored cell first, then it will hold the color and I will after that block everyone else from coloring it. So this will always give me the correct answer if I solve by coloring from the highest value, from the highest color value to the lowest color value. For any time step, if I color from the highest value to lowest value, I will always be fine. Now let's redo this by using that logic that we will be coloring using the highest value first. So we will be coloring by this 2 first. So 2 will be colored and then 1 will be colored. Okay, fine. So we have moved to the next state. You see that in this state I will be coloring for the 2's first. So this 2 will be coloring here 2. Here it will be colored 2 and this 2 will be coloring here 2. Okay, fine. Now we do not have any leftover zeros. So 1 will not be able to color anything and we will move to the next step. Right. And this is the final state where everything is colored. So if you follow this simple strategy where you are actually coloring using the highest color ID first, then the second highest, third highest and so on till the least highest value, which is the smallest value, then you do not need to check for the conflict even. Okay, so how do we need to arrange these sources? We can actually sort it. We can sort it and we can keep the highest value to be processed first and then the lowest value to be processed at the end, right? If I process the highest value first, then everything would be fine. Now, what strategy are we applying here? If you think about it, this is the same as the rotting oranges problem, and in that case we are applying BFS, which is the breadth first search. So we are expanding in all the directions. This is the concept of breadth first search, right? If you want to learn about breadth first search, you can follow my video on BFS. It expands the search area in all the direction at the same speed, and that's what I want. I want to search in all the 4 directions at equal speed. Now this falls in the category of not just BFS, but it is called specially multi-source BFS. Why multi-source? Because we are not just starting at a single point. We have multiple points. We can have more than one points. Any number of points can be present, right? We could have had any number of points and everyone will start expanding right at the same time. This exact technique is used in the rotting oranges problem. Now let's look at the constraint and then we will look at the dry run. If you look at the constraint here, m and n value is 10 to the power of 5. So if you go ahead and write mn algorithm, then that should actually not pass, which should be 10 to the power of 10, which will not pass. But the second constraint actually allows mn algorithm. The second constraint says that even though individually they can be 10 to the power of 5, but even if you multiply, that means the total cells in the matrix will also not exceed 10 to the power of 5. So definitely mn algorithm will comfortably pass, and even mn log n is also going to pass, mn log mn, right? I will show you later on that it can also pass. Now the source's length is also maximum m times n, and at least we have one source. It is less than m times n means all the cells might have been colored right in the beginning. And how many total cells I can have? mn, which is maximum 10 to the power of 5, right? And I think all the rest of the constraint are easy to remember. This row and column are all distinct, so we don't have to deduplicate any input. Having understood this, let's now look at an example. Now in this case we will do a simple dry run on a 3 by 3 matrix where we are taking the m value 3 and n value 3. I have taken 3 colors from the sources. I will sort these sources. Okay, I will sort all these sources. So if you sort it in order to perform BFS, then I will be putting the sorted entries into the queue. And if you put them, which one I want to process first? I want to process this highest ID first. So that will be in the front of the queue, which is row and column. So all these entries are based on Ri, Ci, which is the row and column for the ith entry. So this color 3 has an input of 2, 2 in the queue. Similarly at 2, 1 we have color 2, and at 0, 0 we have color 1. And we will start processing the BFS. I will take out this 2, 2 and I will try all the 4 directional calls. If you try all the 4 directional call, right and down is out of bounds, so that call will not be served. On the left side, this grid value is not 0. Wherever the boxes are looking empty, they are all 0 values by default. So this is a non-zero value, so this will also not be processed. Upside, okay, this is a 0 value. Here I will be pushing 3. When I write 3 here, then I will be inserting this 1, 2 to be processed. Okay. And now I am done with this 2, 2. I will take out the next one, 2, 1. So this one will be taken out. On the right side, you cannot color. Down is out of bound. On the left side, yes, you can color. You can push 2. So this 2, 0 will be pushed. And then can you color this up? Yes, you can color this up, and this will be 2, 1, 1. Remember that in the next step, this 3 cannot create a conflict with this 2 because the conflict can only arise in the same timestamp. On different timestamp, it will not arise. Okay. So we are done with this 2, 1. I'll take out 0, 0. And now I can actually process all the 4 direction. Top left is out of bound. Right side I can write 1. Down side I can write 1. And I can insert both of them, which is 0, 1 is the first entry. Second entry is 1, 0. Done. Okay. So time step 1 is done. If you want to count the time step, then you can apply the level order BFS. So here you would have ended a level. But I will not be applying level order because here level count or the time step count is not required. In the rotting oranges problem, the minimum time to rot all the oranges, if possible was required, if that is the question, in how much time can you fill the entire matrix, then you have to apply level order multi-source BFS. Okay, so inside the while loop you might have to write a for loop, but in this case it is not required. So I will not be writing level order traversal. Okay, I will just be writing a simple BFS without level order. So I can process the next node 1 comma 2, 1 comma 2. So this is your 3 will be processed. Right, down, left cannot be processed because all of them are marked, and upside you can mark 3 and you can insert 0 comma 2. After this, even if you pick 2 comma 0, they will not be processed. 2 comma 0 is like everywhere it is either marked or out of bound. Same goes for 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 2. Everything is already marked, right? And when everything is already marked, once your queue is empty, you are done, and whatever is the matrix is your final answer. 1 1 3 1 2 3 and 2 2 3. I hope this is clear. Now in this case, if you remember the constraints, what constraints we had looked at, the sources.length can be maximum mn, and if you are going to sort so many items, then it can be mn log mn, and you know mn's max value is going to be 10 to the power of 5. So this is also going to be maximum 10 to the power of 5. Log of 10 to the power 5, definitely it is less than log of 10 to the power of 6. All these are in base 2. So what is this value? This is actually 20. So this value should be less than 20, which means that if this value is 10 to the power of 5, your total runtime or the total number of operations will be less than this value. Total operations will be less than this value, or less than 2 times 10 to the power of 6. We already know that 10 to the power 8 is equals to 1 second, and therefore this is going to pass well within 1 second. So this is a runtime proof that our algorithm is going to work, which is in mn log mn. So mn log mn time is taken for sorting, whereas the multi-source BFS only takes mn time for going to each cell exactly one time, and therefore the overall time is mn log mn. And here is the proof of the runtime, that it will run within 1 second. So I hope this entire solution is clear. Let's now look at the code. If you are someone who is preparing for top product based company interview, then we have brought for you live interview training program based on data structures and algorithms, system design, and AI for SDE. This will make sure that you cover all the requirements for data structures and algorithms, be it online assessment or the face-to-face rounds. We will be doing live practice on coding as well as discuss the assignments. We also have a self-paced number theory course which you can take for difficult online assessment and face-to-face interview preparation like Google Media.net and Code Nation. And for system design, we will be discussing the distributed design along with components, HLD, LLD. LLD is a self-paced course here, and we will be discussing everything keeping the AI aspect of design in mind. That is how AI agents will come into our design and how to develop AI features in the pre-existing design. This will definitely give you an edge in the current AI era. And then we have AI for SDE 6 months live training program where you will be getting to build a LLM right from scratch. Along with that, we will understand the entire pipeline of agentic AI, and this is not just a theoretical course. We will definitely be doing hands-on for each of the concept that we learn on Python using Jupyter Notebook or Google Colab. If you do not know Python, then definitely we will be learning it on the go. To know more about this training program, you can WhatsApp us on this given number or visit our website techdose.co.in. In this code, I have taken a PII, which is pair integer for storing an integer pair, and I have defined the direction for making 4 directional calls, and I have marked them as static because when you create object of this solution, when the Leetcode will create object of solution for each of the test cases to be called, then it will make sure that the direction is not created again and again. So if you have 50 test cases and if you do not actually define it static, then 50 times the direction array will get allocated using malloc, calloc, realloc, whatever. It will be having a high weightage on the runtime. It will consume more runtime. So you should make sure that when you have such kind of constant type arrays which should not change in different test cases, then you consider marking is as static, okay, as well as the constant expression too. You can read about this. If you remove this, then your runtime can increase significantly. Okay, now once we see this code color grid, we will be taking all the sources with the dimension, rows and columns, and the first thing that I will do is sorting. So I will be sorting the sources in descending order of the values. That means the value of the color. And after this I will create a grid which will contain my answer, which I will be returning at the end by coloring the entire grid. I will be creating a queue and I will put all the sources, because we are going to apply multi-source BFS. From all the sources we will start at the same time at each time step. So all the sources will be pushed in decreasing order of the color value after sorting, and then we will see simple BFS. In simple BFS, until my queue is empty, we will take out the front of the queue, we will remove that item. After doing this, we will be just checking in all the 4 directions whether the direction cell is actually within the bound. So this is your bound check, and that the next cell is actually not colored. If the next cell is not colored, then we will color it with the current grid's current cell color, and then we will push the next cell. And likewise it will just go in a loop until all the cells have been processed. So finally we will return the colored grid, and this is my entire solution of the multi-source BFS. I hope it is clear. If you still have any doubt, then feel free to comment below and I'll try to help you as soon as possible. See you guys in the next video. Thank you.